Good morning, everybody. Good Friday morning, another dry morning. Hope you're all well. So here we are, 10 minutes just to take yourself out of whatever you're doing and have a little break, a little breather. And I thought what we'd do today is we'd just look at a couple of my favourite stretches. We know that Pilates allows you to elongate and to open up the muscles and the joints and to reduce tension and tightness and stiffness and all of those kind of things, all those fabulous things, but sometimes only a good stretch will do. So we're going to do these, I'm going to do these from seated, I should say, seated. So you could do these sat at your office chair if you wanted to. And the first thing we're going to do is just start by opening up around the upper back and chest. Now, obviously, you want to be reasonably mobile, so these aren't the kind of things, particularly if you're trying to sort of really increase the range of movement, I would always suggest these aren't the first things you do when you jump out of bed first thing in the morning. So make sure you are a little bit mobile, that you've wandered around a little bit, you've been up and down the stairs a few times, you've just woken yourself up a touch, and hopefully you won't feel too many of those cracks, grinding bumps and cracks that we sometimes feel. So up nice and tall, I would suggest that you have your feet flat to the floor. If you are blessed with beautifully little legs, then make sure you've got your feet on something sturdy. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, up nice and tall, slightly retract the chin, as always, we don't want to put pressure into the neck. Take the hands forward, and you can either link the hands or just put one against the other, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to be a bit more specific about that in a moment. And simply let the arms be drawn forward, soften the chin in, don't push on the head, but pull back as if somebody had hold of your hands and was pulling your hands forward, but at the same time had their hands around your hips and was pulling you backwards. So you're getting this scooping effect, sliding the shoulders down, and just feel that you can really press those arms forward and then bring it all the way back up. Be conscious of how you retract, how you contract the spine to lift back up again. And then without clasping the fingers, just take the hands to the back of the head. Elbows just where you can see them as you look forward, so just within the peripheral vision. And from here, let the weight of the head truly rest into your hands as you lift your breastbone up to the ceiling. So this isn't about the lumbar spine, this is about the upper back. And then bring it back to center. I'm just going to turn side on. Okay, so imagine I'm still sitting on my chair. Okay, so I'm going to get this feeling of pressing my arms forward, sliding my shoulder blades apart, softening the chin in, just reaching away, and at the same time pulling back. So I get this feeling of pulling into my lower back. So I get this really nice curving aspect to my whole spine as I press away, and then I bring it all the way back. I take my hands behind the head, just keeping the shoulders down, keeping the pelvis nice and still, truly letting the weight of my head sit into my hands and just lift at the breastbone. Okay, so just keep doing that. What you don't want to do is flip yourself backwards and forwards. You're not a credit card, so you don't need to go really, really fast. Take your time with it. So really try and widen those shoulder blades, let them slide out and separate, and then bring it back to center. Support the weight of the head, don't want to put any stress into the neck. Elbows stay just where you can see them. Lift the breastbone all the way up and then bring it back down. So nice and smooth, you can do that as often as you like. Just shrug those shoulders, see how that feels. It may have just lifted you out. Excuse me, sorry, swallow my own tongue there. You may have just lifted out of your spine slightly. Okay, so again from seated, simple side stretch. We're going to lift one arm up to the ceiling, doesn't matter which one. Keep the same shoulder down and really anchor into the pelvis. And simply move into an easy side bend. Now don't lean too heavily into the supporting hand. And then bring it back up, release. So wait until you're upright and then take that same hand across the body and move into a gentle twist. Bring it back to center, okay? Change its size, so the arm comes up, shoulder slides down. There's no rotation initially. We just ease into a length on one side of the body. So nice and heavy into the pelvis, just easing into a side bend, then bring it all the way back up. Don't run the two together. Take the hand across the body and then ease into a gentle rotation. You can turn your head a little bit more if you want to. And then back to center. okay? So they're two separate movements that just happen to just sit nicely with each other. But what we don't want to do is twist and side bend at the same time. So keep them separate, bring it all the way back up, take the hand down, then cross it over, and then gently rotate. And then back to center, and then arm comes up, shoulder down, ease into that side bend. Watch out for tension in the neck. You can turn your head as you need to, but do try and keep the head from pressing forward. And then back up. And then again, take the hand across. Ease into stretch. Let's just do that one more time on each side because it's really nice. And you will find that with repeated repetitions, never sure whether that's right, repeated repetitions, you're going to find that it's just going to ease a little bit more each time. So again, no rotation as we side bend. Bring it back to center. Bring the hand down, cross it over, and then move into the rotation. Turn your head a little bit more if you want to. Keep the chin slightly drawn in, no pressure in the neck. And then last time, back to center. Arm comes up, shoulder slides down. We stay firm and even and heavy in the pelvis, so we're not lifting off ourselves. Back to center, okay? And then again, across the body, gentle rotation. All right, good. So we're now going to do a little stretch. This is one of my favorite stretches. In many variations, this is one of my favorite stretches. It's a figure 4 stretch, so sometimes you'll have done this lying on your back, in yoga, perhaps hugging in. I tend to do it with a very crossed leg, so thigh over thigh. But from seated, it's super simple. So if you are tight in your hips, you might struggle with this, in which case, give me a second. Okay, if I just drag my reformer box, I've got a reformer, you can't see it, can you? I've got my reformer box here, okay? So if I just drag that forward, if I was very, very tight in my hips, I might need to put my feet up somewhere in order to get this done, because you might not be able to cross your ankle over your knee. So if you struggle to do this, then put your foot up on something, extend the leg out, and then you can just go onto a slightly lower position. It makes it a little bit easier, okay? So you might find you're able to do that on the floor actually as well. But otherwise, let's assume that we're all lovely and able to do this. Keep one foot to the floor, doesn't really matter. Take the other ankle and bring it above your knee. Now, what's really important is that you don't restrict the movement in either joint. So you don't want to press directly onto the knee. Less easy to do that if you're sitting than if you were lying, but you definitely don't want to restrict the ankle joint either. So make sure you can still really move your ankle, okay? That for you might be your stretch. That might be it. You might be feeling slightly tightened around the outside of the hip and the thigh, and that's fine. Otherwise, up nice and tall, flex the foot a little bit. It does make a difference. And then simply lean into it. Now we're not looking to round, so we're not losing any of that space that we've created. We're simply moving forward just until you feel your stretch. I love this stretch. It's a really simple one to do, as I say, assuming that you're comfortable enough to get the ankle up. If you struggle, just maybe adjust your position, your height of your feet and your legs, extend the leg out so it's resting on something, and you could even rest it on the shin if necessary. And then sit up nice and tall, release, change sides. So again, above the ankle, not restricting the joint. Make sure that when you do these kind of things, you don't feel pressure in your knee. What you don't want to do is punish your knees for any lack of your hip. So if you can't rotate your thigh sufficiently, but you try to complete the rotation from your shin, well, you're going to end up with knees like mine. So don't do that, all right? So up nice and tall, okay? Adjust where you need to. If sitting upright is enough and you feel that stretch, that tightness, that little bit of pulling tension, and remember what we're looking for is deep, dull and achy, not sharp, stabby and pointy, then all you need to do is stay there. Otherwise, you can simply lean forward. And if I just turn side on so you can see what I mean, all right, so you could do this from seated, it's fine. I've just crossed my ankle over. Okay, I'm not rounding into it. That's not going to gain me anything other than just a stretched back. Okay, and actually what we want to do is we want to hinge forward into this. Watch out again for tension in the neck. And then when you've had a little stretch, you bring it all the way back up to center, you release, you give it a little shake out, and there you go. Just 3 of my favorite little stretches. I hope they've been useful. If there's any particular stretch that you want me to go through, then just let me know. Maybe you're particularly tight around somewhere, then just give me a shout and I shall make sure I will include that in the future. Enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you all soon. Take care.